You don't look like a guy who would be filled with frightening thoughts.
Neither did Norman Bates.
Wes, hi everybody, and welcome to another video. It is time to remind ourselves, my dear friends, of the importance of stories and of the importance of talking about stories themselves and the quality of the quote-unquote content that we are getting and receiving from different creators today. Now, putting the word content and my hatred for it aside for a bit, you know what I'm talking about. I always call it stories, be it in a book, be it in a film, in a TV show, a comic book, or even a video game. It seems to me that lately people have forgotten to talk about these things and discuss them and theorize about them more and more, and have been focusing on everything but this, on the things around it, and all of that has been caused by social media, by all the different platforms that we have at our disposal, like Twitter, or X as it is called today, like Facebook, which is dying, all those TikToks, and after all, the very platform we found ourselves on now, YouTube. And people, seems to me, and I'm a teacher, so I can speak from my own experience, and that concerns especially and mainly the youngest ones, the young ones, and the teenagers, and the like. They don't really read anymore. They don't really discover old films or old TV shows, as we used to do, and we have been doing that and continuing to do so. I believe there are many of you among my audience, among my subscribers, who still do enjoy quality entertainment. So we try to consume, quote-unquote, that entertainment in order to escape, in order to educate ourselves. And by escape, I of course mean the good old-fashioned escapism that Tolkien was talking about. The escape from the grim and dark and gritty reality of the world into a grim and gritty dark reality of a fiction. But you know what I mean. This world is bland and boring and horrible, and we very often don't want to have anything to do with it. So escape to different places which might not be better, might not be nicer, might not be more pleasant than our world, but are most certainly different and more interesting. If you read a dystopian sci-fi novel, you most certainly don't want to live there, although the modern world, the primary world, the real world really is resembling a dystopian society. But you really want to forget your own life and the problems and the troubles and the trials and tribulations you have there. And I've stumbled upon an interview with Stephen King that I have shown a little bit of, and will show probably a little bit of more. And throughout the entire interview, he was talking about stories, his own stories and other stories, and the adaptations of his stories that had been done up until that moment. And then I watched another interview with Stephen King from much later, almost 20 years later. And then it was like a half an hour long video. And all he was doing, he was talking about stories. And also the interview was very clever and very witty and very knowledgeable and very educated. And all they were talking about is the aspects of writing and creating. And that was just so refreshing, because I haven't watched any author interviews in a while either. Everything I can see today is just bland and idiotic social-political bull on social media being uttered by both the creators and the audience. If you focus on Stephen King himself, he's very much political today, and he suffers from what people call a Trump derangement syndrome, which, to somebody like me, coming from Central Europe, born and raised in Europe, a very faithful European, I don't really care. I couldn't care less about any of your presidents. I don't even care about my own president. Why would I care about a president of a country that is in a completely different part of the world? It's like the on the other side of the world. Why would I care about that? Why would I care about your constructed problems? We've got our own constructed problems here. There is something that is uniting us, though, and that's the stories. That's precisely what Stephen King was talking about in those 2 interviews that I watched. Those are the stories, the books that we can read and enjoy together and discuss. There's something we have in common, something we understand each other about. And say what you will about Stephen King, he is an accomplished author. I mean, he's one of the most popular, one of the most famous, one of the most successful writers of our day and age, of the modern era, of the modern world. Everybody knows Stephen King, and many of his books have been adapted into films and TV films, and even comic books, and his son is a writer as well. So, an accomplished one. He has delved into, I think, both novels and graphic novels. And he has shaped the culture as well. I mean, if somebody hasn't read anything by Stephen King, they have at least seen the films, like The Shining, or The Green Mile, or The Shawshank Redemption, or It. I mean, there are dozens of things that are connected with Stephen King and the way he changed pop culture. And his novels are precisely very much popular because how masterfully he can blend fiction and reality. He can make you believe in his own worlds. He doesn't often set his stories into a secondary world. Sometimes he does, but most of the time he doesn't. But he writes his stories from the primary world, from the real world, so faithfully that you can believe that those things have happened. And in the midst of those quote-unquote real stories, he puts the unreal, he puts the horror aspect, he puts the supernatural, and that scares you even more. And so I think that we should talk about stories and storytelling more again, and that we should support creativity more again. And for that matter, I've got a live, right now, crowdfunding campaign of my next book, an extremely witty and humorous collection of fantasy poetry that is taking all your favorite fairy story characters and mythological characters and humorously makes a satire on the way people are living today in the 21st century. It is written in Czech with hints of Polish, and but it can be ordered by everybody in the world. So my dear Czech, Polish, Slovakian subscribers, please do go ahead, pre-order the book. It's very cheap, not even $10. I assure you, you will have extreme fun. 18 days as of making of this video. I've only got 18 days. If I don't fund the book, it won't come out. So if you would just go to that link that I posted in the description down below, pre-order the book, I assure you, you'll have a time of your life. All right, then. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and that will be all. Thank you very much for watching, and Namarie.
Why do people like to be scared like that? Why does your kind of thing sell so well?
Well, on the simplest level, I think people like to be scared. About the same as the old joke about the guy who beat his head against a wall, and somebody said, well, why do you keep doing that? And he said, it feels good when I stop.